Hey everyone, Jamie Pate here. I'm so glad you're here today. I cannot wait to share with you what I have to share with you. A whole bunch of my favorite things, so let's take a look. Today I want to share an idea I use to go about building a scrapbook page that uses just enough mixed media to call it mixed media. That mixed media is brought to you today by the brand new distress color, Uncharted Mariner. Ta-da! Positively gorgeous blue that to me holds hues of teal and purple and beautiful variations in between. Let me show you a very doable way to build this scrapbook page. Let's go. Okay, to get started, we're going to need a couple things. Of course, we need the Uncharted Mariner. This is the Distress Oxide that I'm going to be using to lay down color on my background and create a background with this white heavy stock paper, okay? This is cut 7 to 8.5 inches tall. It fits inside my Storyline Chapters insert. That's why I've chosen this size. Of course, my ever favorite Scrapbook.com's stencils. These are 6x8 stencils, and I'm probably going to actually grab one other one, but we're going to get started with this one for sure. And of course, an ink blending tool. So let's work on this background. Now, this is sort of a go-to process for me. You can probably go through some of my layouts in the gallery and see that I kind of go about this pretty often. Now, I don't want to go too heavy-handed on my honeycomb background, but I will tell you, I do like to start up here in this left-hand corner and just going through the stencil. Again, not heavy-handed. I want to go a little lighter and kind of an abstract sort of pattern. I'm going to check it to see if I'm happy with it. I'm going to bring it down just a little farther, and then I think I will be good with that. You can add more, of course. You can add less. Now, I like to come in here about a third of the way down and just repeat the process. And then as a final touch, I want to come down here and I kind of eyeball it between where this ends and where this ends. And I come up here sort of in the middle, and I'm a little bit heavier along the edge in terms of how much pattern I have. And you'll see how that plays out here in a little bit. Okay, so that is our first layer. For the next layer, I'm going to use the little boxes stencil. I'm going to this time use the Distress ink because I want the color to be a little bit more saturated. And I've also picked up a fresh Dome blender, ink blender. So same idea. I'm going to come up here at the top and I'm going to make sure I have good color on here. But again, I'm not going to go heavy-handed at first. I'm going to kind of go light and going to then go look at my color and see if it's moving in the direction in which I want it to go. Can you see that there, how it's a little bit heavier? Happy with that, and I'm even going to probably cross over to where I haven't added any color yet. And maybe a little bit more. You guessed it, we're going to do it again right here over the pattern, and then a little bit above the pattern as well. There's no right or wrong to this. This is super personal preference. I'm actually going to come in here too. I actually need a little bit more ink. And I'm going to come along this little edge here. And happy how that's layering over that with a little bit of extra texture, extra color. And lastly, we're going to finish this up here. Probably need a little bit more ink on my blender and see where that takes us. And I'm going to come over here as well. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. What do you think? Okay, let's go to the next part. The next layer I am going to add is a die cut, and I use the Make Today Great, and I've already cut it out of a piece of white heavy stock. But I'm going to grab the ink blender that has the oxide on it. I'm just going to lightly add ever so little bit of color to the edge. I don't really want much at all, and that's probably a little bit more than I would like. I just really wanted to keep this page fairly clean and allowing the Uncharted Mariner to really take kind of a center stage to what is happening here on this page. So I've already colored some ribbon with the Distress Oxide spray, and decided I want to wrap a little bit of that around my card, and I took it right through the A. To mount my photo, I'm going to use the 1/4 inch foam adhesive. I'm going to put a piece on the top and at the bottom. I don't like to add adhesive to the entire back of pretty much anything that I put on a page. So I figure put on the top of the bottom there that it's going to give it a good even lift on the page. And so for this is going to stay a little bit more linear, but I don't know if you notice this off to the side here, but this was just a little tag I was playing with, and I did the same thing as I did on the back of this background, and I just added a little bit of distress with a stencil, and I think I want to add it in here to my page. And I will do this a lot. I'll have pre-made elements just because, and that's actually going to make me want to move my picture. Just because I like to play with the color, I like to play with it on different patterns, and then I'll keep them. And just like this one, I saw this and I'm like, I wonder how I can make this work on my page. So forgive the not putting this photo where it belongs, but I decided since I want this to kind of come along here, I want this picture to sit in there a little bit. And let me see if this now will sit here. Yeah, I think I'm liking that. I'm going to probably pull this photo out a little bit more. Let's call it good. Now, in order to get this adhered and to still have some height and to still be able to see the background, well, then I'm going to grab the 1/8 inch strips foam adhesive. I really love this adhesive for the very thing I'm going to do here. For these really tight places, but when you still want to build up the element, these come in handy. And so I'm going to see if 2 are good right in the middle of this DIY embellishment. Okay, so let's see how this looks here. So I like how this is turning out because I like being able to see the background that we created. And so that's one way to make great use of having your background built, but then still wanting to layer something over it and still being able to see it. I'm going to adhere this in place, and then we're going to finish up this layout. Okay, we're going to finish this up by adding another element that I really love to do to my pages, and that's word phrases. I also love DIY embellishments, so this word Fetty Oh So Happy comes in handy. You can see it's very well loved, very well used, and I'm going to use the Distress ink because it creates a little bit of a cleaner impression when you stamp with it. So that's why I opted for it. And then I'm going to cut these out and distress each of them a little bit and add them to the bottom of this page to create a little bit of a embellishment cluster. So you're going to see how that takes place here. Okay, so the journal strips have been stamped in Uncharted Mariner Distress ink. They have been trimmed out, and now I'm just lifting the edges with this 6-inch ruler. Metal ruler is just one of the things I like to grab to just go in and to add some texture to the phrase strip itself. And then after I get this just lifted a little bit, now I know there's distress tools out there. I'm happy just to grab a ruler. Okay, again with using the residual ink on here, just go in and you can just add a little bit to the edge without going crazy. And these are going to find a happy place here at the bottom edge as we create a cluster for this page. What's going to come in handy here is because I think they have enough height to them just because of building up the edges a little bit and then giving them a little bit of highlight with the ink. So I was going to use a 1/8 strip, which you can. If you want to add some more dimension to that, for sure, use the foam strips. But I've decided instead that I want to use the glue. Just going to stick these right in a cluster here. I'm loving how all the color is playing together so nicely. I think I'm going to do this right there. Okay, and that's how that little cluster works. Okay, I've added just a few more touches to this layout. I came in here with some chipboard pieces from Vicki Boutin's Fernwood. They were the perfect color, and I thought they would just add nicely to that embellishment cluster. And then I grabbed a label from Paige Evans' Bungalow Lane and added the date, because, you know, gotta add the date. And I'm pretty happy with just the whiteness, yet the background, yet the colors. Pretty happy with the story. So be sure to grab the brand new Uncharted Distress color. Used here on this page was the Oxide ink and the Distress ink and even the Distress Oxide spray. And just have fun building your own scrapbook page.